The wedding reception pulsed with vibrant energy, music filling every corner of the spacious hall. Laughter and celebration swirled around the newlyweds as they moved from table to table, greeting their loved ones. Guests clapped and cheered, capturing moments through camera lenses that would freeze this seemingly perfect day in time. But beneath the glittering surface, tension simmered like a quiet storm. The bride's smile grew increasingly brittle as she navigated conversations with her in-laws, her eyes constantly drifting across the room. Her gaze locked onto her husband, who was engaged in an overly familiar conversation with a woman seated nearby. The casual way he touched her shoulder, a playful punch that seemed too intimate, sent a chill down her spine. Champagne trembled in her hand as she forced polite conversation, her mind racing. Something felt wrong. The woman her husband was talking to, Lourdes, she would later learn, seemed uncomfortably close. Their body language speaking volumes words could not. When she finally excused herself, her fingers trembled as they dialed a number. The woman's phone rang. A brief, cryptic conversation followed, more unspoken than spoken, leaving the bride's suspicions burning even brighter. The dance floor beckoned, and despite the churning emotions, she found herself swaying with her husband. Between carefully measured steps, she probed, "Who is Lourdes?" Her question hung in the air, sharp as a blade. His casual response, something about a piano teacher, rang hollow. Pieces of a puzzle she'd been unconsciously assembling suddenly clicked into place. The mysterious phone calls, the inconsistent stories, the too familiar touch. Anger and hurt battled within her, transforming her delicate wedding day facade into something more dangerous. This was no longer just a celebration, it was a moment of reckoning. The dance floor's jubilant atmosphere shattered when the groom's mother interrupted, pulling her son into a mandatory dance. Meanwhile, the bride found solace in her father's arms, her silent tears soaking his crisp suit. Each droplet carried the weight of a devastating revelation. Her husband approached, pleading for normalcy. "Just enjoy the wedding," he whispered, but his words rang hollow. Her persistent questions raw and desperate chipped away at his defenses until truth finally crumbled. His admission was a knife, cutting through their perfect day. Overwhelmed, she fled. The kitchen's bustling sounds faded as she climbed to the roof, seeking sanctuary from her shattered world. A lone chef, taking a smoke break, found her trembling silhouette against the city's skyline. His unexpected compassion became her lifeline. With measured words, he offered perspective. "Life goes on," he said, extending a simple tissue, a small gesture of comfort in her moment of profound pain. His advice was pragmatic: handle the wedding, return home, and end things decisively. But emotions are rarely predictable. What began as a moment of vulnerability transformed into something primal and unexpected. Her grief morphed into a fierce, passionate encounter with the sympathetic chef. The husband's arrival became a scene of ultimate betrayal. Finding his wife in an intimate moment with another man, the power dynamics shifted dramatically. She unleashed a torrent of rage, promising financial ruin, threatening total exposure, declaring her intent to reclaim her agency through any means necessary. Thunder punctuated her declarations, as if nature itself validated her emotional tempest. Her words were weapons, each sentence a calculated strike designed to wound and destabilize. In that moment, she wasn't just a betrayed wife, she was a force of reckoning, ready to dismantle everything he believed was secure. Vengeance erupted from her lips like a carefully orchestrated symphony of destruction. She painted vivid, horrifying scenarios, threatening to expose every secret on Facebook, promising to torture him until his only escape would be jumping off a bridge. Her words were weapons, precise and merciless. The husband's response was visceral. He began retching, unable to withstand the psychological assault. She moved through the wedding reception like a force of unpredictable chaos, demanding the DJ play a specific song and pulling her friends onto the dance floor. In a twisted moment of performative normalcy, she approached the woman her husband had been involved with. Her invitation to dance carried an undercurrent of menace. "Have you ever been to an amusement park?" she asked, her voice deceptively light, "where a roller coaster flew off?" Suddenly, violence erupted. The woman was thrown, glass shattering around her fragile form. Both women collapsed, creating a tableau of destruction amidst the wedding celebration. Doctors arrived. Whispers of insurance and injury circulated. The bride, impossibly calm, continued the wedding proceedings. She cut the cake, accepted gifts, prepared for the bouquet toss despite her husband's protestations. The scene descended into familial drama. His mother threatened legal action. She countered with psychological warfare, promising to show a recorded video of his emotional breakdown to future children, threatening to replace children's cartoons with this marital tragedy. His mother's response was physical, attempting to choke the bride before being restrained by her father. The wedding transformed into a battlefield of emotional and physical confrontations. Doctors attended to the half-fainted husband. The bride stood amidst the chaos, traumatized but but unnervingly composed, a hurricane of emotional complexity, having torn through what was meant to be a celebration of love. The wedding would be remembered not for its joy, but for its spectacular unraveling. Recovering from his earlier breakdown, the husband moved with unexpected determination. At the buffet, he shattered a champagne bottle, drinking directly from its jagged mouth. The wedding guests watched, frozen between horror and fascination. He approached another table, seizing a knife. Anticipation hung thick in the air, but instead of violence, he retrieved the fallen wedding cake. Methodically, almost playfully, he began cutting and consuming it with deliberate, slow movements. His approach to his wife carried a strange invitation, hands spread wide, requesting a dance. Their eyes locked. A moment of profound understanding passed between them. Music swelled, and she rose, taking his hand. They danced. What began as a tentative connection quickly transformed into passionate intensity. Kisses deepened. The boundary between conflict and desire blurred dramatically. Before the stunned wedding guests, their intimate encounter unfolded dramatically, right there on the table, beside the remnants of their wedding cake. The scene was a spectacular descent into raw, unfiltered human emotion, a dance of betrayal, rage, reconciliation, and primal connection. The narrative concludes by revealing this as a segment from the 2014 Spanish film Wild Tales, known for its intense, unpredictable short stories that explore human nature's most extreme emotional landscapes.